It is no secret that I am not the biggest fan of AI. I always talk about how we shouldn't be using it, but then I'll say in almost the same breath, I use it every day. So I thought I would start a series on this channel where every month I tell you how I'm using Claude or other AI skills. And for a little bit of a how the sausage is made moment, I actually built a Claude skill to look through my cowork sessions every Sunday night and log the ways that I used it each week so that I wouldn't forget something interesting. Now, this is not something that will cover other AI tools that I might use, but usually those are one-offs and I don't have to worry too much about forgetting that. Claude is a tool I'm in every day. So today I am going to show you the 5 coolest ways I used Claude in July 2026. Let's get into it. The first thing I did was build a Senja replacement. Now, I should say here that I am not trying to be in the business of putting software as a service providers out of business. I don't want to build a competitor. I don't want to even support it for other people. But there is something that is absolutely true, and that's that I wasn't really using Senja that much. Every time I got billed for Senja, I kind of got mad about it because the big value proposition is you are collecting tons of testimonials, people are submitting via video, and you can do a bunch of things with those testimonials. Well, most of, if not all, of the people who have submitted testimonials for me have not submitted video. And the $30 a month bill was just not worth it for me. But having a simple place for testimonials is. So here is what I ended up doing. I went into Claude Cowork. Senja does have an MCP, and I said, look at all the ways I'm using Senja. Create a spec document for me to give to Lovable. And the most important features for me here was the ability to collect testimonials, create a wall of testimonials, like a Mason wall of testimonials, and embed a collection of testimonials on my website. So it went ahead and did that. I also asked it to add a link so that I can link to individual testimonials because I thought that would be a nice touch. And it came up with this in less than an hour. It created the spec. I exported my Senja testimonials here. And so now it's got the wall. So you can see all of the testimonials. The videos are embedded. I'm hosting those over on Vimeo now. And it works exactly as I expected it to. It'll even allow for individual links here. And then you can also leave a testimonial. You can embed, if you want to record a video, you can. And you can embed the link here, but I'm not going to make you do that. And then you can also upload a photo, but I added Gravatar support too. So if you don't upload a photo and you have a Gravatar photo, it'll pull that in. So all in all, I'm super happy with this. This is what it looks like out in the wild. So it's got, the scrolling carousel of testimonials. It's got the wall. I can include one testimonial and I can customize the embeds. So really happy with this. Again, don't hear what I'm not saying here. I'm not saying that Senja's not worth it. It's definitely worth it for lots of people. It was not worth it for me. Okay, number 2, Kit account cleanup. So I am in Kyle Adams' newsletter Power Up cohort this month, and it's a 2-month program. And something that I've been really thinking about is how messy is my Kit account? What opt-ins are there? What's the experience? One of the first things we do is rewrite our welcome sequence so that it's clearer and signals to people joining the list that like, hey, I am going to give you useful stuff, but I'm also trying to sell my services in a way that's not like, hey, give me money right now. And one of the things that I was worried about was how many opt-ins do I have? Am I sending the right signals? Am I creating a consistent experience where everybody is getting the thing that they opted in for, but also the welcome sequence as we've designed it? And so I did a few things here. I'm not going to show the particulars. I don't want to show anybody's email address or anything like that, but these are the 5 things that I did in July to clean up my Kit account. The first is an opt-in audit. I Kit has an MCP. It's really good. There's like a few things I wish were better, but that's neither here nor there. For getting information out of Kit, I actually think the MCP is a lot better than the Kit user experience in the web, like in the dashboard. So I did an opt-in audit. I said, like, look at all of the opt-ins, look at who's signing up, and like tell me which ones are really active, which ones are not. The other thing I did here was export my Gravity forms and my pages from my two WordPress sites, casabona.org and streamlinesolopreneur.com. And the reason I did that is because I have Kit forms embedded across those sites. And I said, now with all of my opt-ins, cross-reference them to what you see on my WordPress site. Because what I don't want to do is delete an opt-in and then have a dead form on a really active page for my website. So that was a really super cool thing to see. The cleanup was not nearly as bad as I thought it would be, which is cool. I cleaned up the opt-ins. Then I had it look at the automations to make sure that I wasn't like sending multiple emails at once, or that people who joined one form didn't get added to two automations inadvertently. And that was a lot of fun to work through and very satisfying. And so from a cleaning up my account point of view, it was really good. And now I am really confident in the user experience when they join my mailing list, which is awesome because I felt like the opt-in that I was trying to get rid of was the one that was the most popular. And again, I was just sending the wrong signals, and I'm feeling a lot better about that now. So we'll see how it bears out over the next couple of months, but I feel clear and confident on what the newsletter experience is for me now. The other thing I did was add an unsubscribe dashboard. Some might view this as unhealthy, but I like knowing when someone unsubscribes. And the reason is this. Since joining Kit in 2018, I have done 2 big pivots, 3 topics, 2 big pivots. What I want to know when somebody unsubscribes is, were they a WordPress person or a podcast person, or were they somebody who joined in the last, let's say, 18 months? And what email made them unsubscribe? So like that sort of stuff is interesting to me from a how self-cleansing is my list, or how many people who have been with me from the very beginning have stuck with me. So that's why I built it. I don't think you should sweat unsubscribes, but that is still interesting data to me because I do still have a lot of people who have been with me from the very beginning. Okay, and the last thing here is 2 things. I created a newsletter archive. I had the MCP grab all of my newsletters from the last 18 months. That's like when I really started talking about Solopreneur Systems, add them to Notion into this newsletter database. And then I created a kind of scoring rubric. And so I said, like, okay, based on the information that you have, which is clicks, opens, unsubscribes, let's create a weighted score out of 10 to see how each one performs in the first 48 hours. And I really weighted unsubscribes heavily here because, first of all, opens and clicks can be automated. So I weighted unsubscribes more heavily because that is a very clear action to take. And I don't have a lot of links in my newsletter usually. And so like click-through rate might just be artificially low because there's nothing to click. Or my Friday wrap-up emails, which do have a bunch of links, will be artificially inflated because they just tend to have more links because it's a curation email. So I created the newsletter archive and I score them so I can kind of see what performs well, what resonates with my audience, because that is important information for me to know. So that was number 2, my Kit account cleanup. Super excited about it. Number 3 is PodMatch message archiving. So I am on PodMatch. I've been on PodMatch for a long time. You get messages as a host or a guest. I've been really focusing on guesting. And I noticed that like I had never really archived a message. So I had like hundreds of messages, and the experience of archiving a message, there's some friction there. So like you have to click on the message and then go across the browser and click on the the archive button. So if we look at my inbox here, we'll see I have a message, and then I have to go over here and archive it. And I have to click on another one and go over here and archive it. And when there's a refresh, you're kind of brought back to the top of the list, right? So what I decided to do, because Claude can control the browser, is have it archive old messages. And so the first thing I did was say, hey, look for the text Joe Casabona has decided not to match, right? So any message that has that text, archive. Then go through and find anything that is older than a year and archive it. And it took some fooling around to figure out exactly like how it works and what it's doing, but it did it. It archived hundreds of messages. I have like a dozen here or so now, much more manageable. And it's not something that I had to do manually. In the past, this is probably something I would have done with Keyboard Maestro. But again, because of the refresh thing, it would have been, I think, a little bit more difficult with PodMatch unless I had actually like written some JavaScript to do it. But watching Claude control the browser, and I should say here that I only let Claude control my secondary browser. So I use Vivaldi as my primary browser, and then I use Google Chrome as a secondary browser. So Google Chrome, I'm only ever logged into the thing that I need Claude to use at the time. So that was a cool like little trick. I like asked it to do it, and then I kind of walked away, refreshed my coffee, and when I came back, everything was archived and it worked super well. So really cool thing. That was number 3. Number 4 is I built a custom Switchy app, or Switchy skill, I guess would be the better way to put it. So I use Switchy.io for link shortening. I like it for a bunch of reasons. You can connect multiple custom domains to it, which is cool, but using it is a little clunky. There's not like a really good like Zapier. There's like no Zapier support or anything like that. But it does have an API. And so I thought maybe I could use a Claude skill with the API to do what I needed to do. And so I ended up doing that. So I basically wanted a CRUD app. If you're unfamiliar with that term, it's like it's a computer science database term for create, read, update, delete. And so I wanted a Claude skill that could do that. Specifically, I have some old short links, right? So like I have a domain called podlift.me that I don't use anymore. And so I want to update all of those links and move them onto a domain I'm actually using, as well as create short links from a database entry. I have a Notion database called Collabs, and so it could do almost everything. If you were reading this text while I was talking, you'll know that Switchy doesn't allow deleting through the API, so it's really a crew app. There's no delete endpoint, which is a little frustrating. But what I could have it do is say, get all of the podlift.me redirects and make them, and add them as joec.pro redirects or jcasabona.com redirects. And then I can go in and delete all the podlift.me redirects myself. But, the big one here is that I always create a custom URL for collabs. And now this is taking something off of my plate, like a manual process. And so it does run on my machine. It's not like a web app or anything like that. I am a developer, but I don't want to spend my time making these tools. Like, I don't know that the juice is worth the squeeze for actually spending my time writing a Switchy connector, right? Like understanding the API and writing an app and hosting it somewhere. And so this was a cool application. So that was number 4, a custom Switchy app or skill, I guess, inside of Claude. And number 5, I released my Solopreneur Systems Starter Kit in late June. And I was thinking about a way to make a pro version of this. And over last weekend, as I record this, I decided that a PDF and ebook would be like a cool little upsell, right? Like, don't read it in the Google Doc, add it to your favorite e-reader. And so I had Claude take the 10,000 plus words that I wrote, right? I wrote every one of those words. Claude did not write any of them. And I gave it the document. I went to Claude Design and I said, come up with a design system for the ebook. And I was super duper impressed with what it came up with. It uses all of it has my brand kit, so it knows everything, but it came up with the fonts, the colors, how everything should be spaced. It came up with a cover kind of based on my guidance here and the dimensions, and really well done. Also, I think the most impressive thing to me was it mentioned the licensing for Roca, which is my serif font. I only have the license for graphics and I think one website. And so I don't have it for embedding in ebooks and stuff like that. So it said, all right, for the PDF, right, this license allows us to flatten the font so the font's not embedded. So then it's kind of like a graphic. But for the ebook, we'll just use your other font, Geologica. And I was really impressed by that because I was acutely aware of that, but I'm impressed that it flagged it. And so it came up with the whole design language and just really, really impressed. I generated the PDF and the ebook and I looked through it. I read through it and looked for like mistakes or weird, like a child orphan, which is when like one sentence of a paragraph is going to be hanging off, or like the heading is at the bottom of a page and then the paragraph starts at the next. It's just like one hanging thing that should otherwise be together. And so did a really good job here. I'm really impressed. So if you join my mailing list over at streamlined.fm/kit, you'll have the opportunity to get the pro version, which is going to include the PDF and the ebook and audiobook and a few other fun things to really help you get started more quickly. But using Claude for this was, I think, my favorite thing because designing books is hard. And I wrote all of the words, right? And I've gone through the process of like submitting an ebook to Kindle too. So I trust, I'm not going to do it with this one, but I trust that if I decide to write and self-publish a book and don't work with a publisher or somebody to help with that, Claude could probably help me with that, which is really exciting. So those are the 5 ways that I used Claude. I created a testimonial collection replacement tool. I cleaned up my Kit account and my newsletter. I used it to control the browser to archive hundreds of messages in PodMatch. I created a custom Switchy.io app/skill, and I generated a PDF and an ebook from a Google Doc. That's it for this video. If you want to join my mailing list and see what I'm talking about over there, get notified when I make more videos like this or when my podcast comes out, you can head over to streamlined.fm/kit. That is how you can also get the Solopreneur Systems Starter Kit, the totally free version, the 10,000 word Google Doc. You'll have the opportunity to upgrade, but you don't have to. You're going to get a lot of great stuff for free over there. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you have any questions about anything I did in this video or anything I talked about, leave a comment below. And until next time, I hope you find some space in your week.